Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14. Would anyone like to say what we read the last time?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
yes, so we heard about Sukdev Goswami speaking from history about the past life of Vitasura, and that he was a king, Citraketu, of the province Surasena, and that he was having 10 million wives and he wanted a child, but he couldn't have one. So we read about if we want our own destiny, we should accept the will of God. But he still wanted to have a child, and he prayed for, I think, something like this. And then we heard about all all belongs to him, even though all belongs to Supreme Personality of God head, and that he allocates everyone their quota. He supplies with all necessities, uh, free from scarcity. He gives them enough. We should have faith in him, and everything is under control of him. And if he has decided to give us something, it is enough, and we should be satisfied with what we have. And I think, yeah, we heard about Gyanis and Bhaktis and Nara and Parayana, people who have spiritually realized, and then uh, the bhakts who have realized, but uh, the devotees who have spiritually realized, but they are in devotion also. They are Narayan Parayan.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Narayan
yeah,
Parayana,
yeah,
completely surrendered
yes,
devotee. Thank you. And we
yes.
also heard like how Citraketu, although he had 10 million wives, he was from a very good family. He's a king after all, who can also maintain 10 million wives. So he's from a good family. He's physically very strong, good looking, good education, lot of wealth. So he had all what we usually want, you know. People usually want this, and then we may think, oh, I'm not happy because maybe I'm lacking education, maybe I'm lacking beauty, maybe I'm lacking wealth, or maybe I'm lacking coming from a aristocratic family. But we can see, in spite of having all this, Chitraketu was not happy. You know, so we can see that we may materially have everything that one could want for, and yet happiness may elude us. Hmm? As you said, if we are not able to accept the will of the Lord, if we are not satisfied with what we are, with what the Lord has allotted to us. Yeah, thank you. So we continue. Text 13. Natasya sampada sarva.
Natasya
Natasya sampada
sampada
sarva
sarva
Maheshyo vamalochana.
mahishu
mahesyo
vamalochana
amalochana
Sarvabhaumasya bhush cheyam.
sarvabhaumasya
sarvabhaumasya
bhushayam
Abhavan priti hetavaha.
apavan
abhavan
priti
priti
hetavaha.
hetavaha.
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. His queens all had beautiful faces and attractive eyes, yet neither his opulences, his hundreds and thousands of queens, nor the lands of which he was the supreme proprietor were sources of happiness for him. So from out, someone else may want his position, you know, someone else may say, ah, yeah, I will, you know, I wish I could be in that position. But we can see that he has what others would want, but yet he's not happy. Tasye kadatu bhavanam.
Tasye
Tasye
kadatu
kadatu
bhavanam
bhavanam
Angira Bhagavan Rishihe.
Angira
Angira
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Rishi
Rishihi.
Lokan Anucharan Etan.
Lokan
Lokan
Anucharan
Anucharan
Etan
Etan.
Upagachad Yatra Chayam.
Upagachat
Upagachat
Yatra Chaya.
Yatrachaya.
Once upon a time, when the powerful sage named Angira was traveling all over the universe without engagement, by his sweet will, he came to the palace of King Citraketu. So Angira Muni, he can travel in space. He doesn't need a spaceship. So he's come now to meet Citraketu. Tam pujayitva vidvat
Tam
Tam
Pujayitva
Pujayitva
Vidvat
Vidhivat.
pratyuthanar anadibihe
Pratyutthana Anadibihi
Pratyutthanaradhanaadibihi.
kritat kritatyam upasiddhat
Kritatithyam
Kritatithim
Upasita
Upasiddhat.
sukhasinam samahitaha.
Sukhasinam
Sukhasinam
Samahita.
Samahitaha.
Chitraketu immediately stood up from his throne and offered him worship. He offered drinking water and eatables, and in this way performed his duty as a host to a great guest. When the rishi was seated very comfortably, the king, restraining his mind and senses, sat on the ground at the side of the rishi's feet. So we can see here great humility on the part of King Chitraketu. He is a great, great emperor, but he knows the etiquette that when a saintly person comes, how to receive him. So he's offering him a proper welcome, and he's sitting at the feet, not on his throne. Maharishistam upasinam
Maharishistam
Harishitam
Upasinam
Upasinam.
prashra yavanatam shito.
Prashrayavanatam
Prashrayavanatam
Shito
Shito.
Pratipuja Maharaja
Pratipuja
Pratipuja
Maharaja
Maharaja.
Samabhashyedam Abravit.
Samabhashyedam
Samabhasedam
Abravit.
Abravit.
O King Parikshit, when Chitraketu bent low in humility, was seated at the lotus feet of the great sage, the sage congratulated him for his humility and hospitality. The sage addressed him in the following words. So he's attracted the heart of Angira Muni by his humility. You know, humility, being humble, can open the doors of heaven, they say. Right? So humility, trinadapi sunichena, being humble. Angira vacha
Angira
Angira
Uvacha
Uvacha.
apite nam annamayam swasti.
Apite
Pite
Namayam
Namayam
Swasti
Swasti.
Prakriti nam tathatmanaha
Prakriti
Prakriti Nam
Nam
Tatha
Tatamanaha
Manaha.
yatha prakriti guptaha
Yata
Yatha
Prakriti Guptaha
Prakriti
puman raja cha saptabhe.
Puman Raja Cha Saptapi.
Pumantastabhihi.
The great sage Angira said, My dear king, I hope that your body and mind and your royal associates and paraphernalia are well. When the seven properties of material nature, the total material energy, the ego, and the five objects of sense gratification are in proper order, the living entity within the material elements is happy. Without these seven elements, one cannot exist. Similarly, a king is always protected by seven elements: his instructor, Swami or Guru, his ministers, his kingdom, his fort, his treasury, his royal order, and his friends. As it is quoted by Sridhar Swami in his Bhagavatam commentary, Swami Amatyo Janpada Durga Dravina Shanchaya Dando Mitram Cha Tasyaita Sapta Prakrityo Mataha. A king is not alone. He first has his spiritual master, the supreme guide. Then come his ministers, his kingdom, his fortifications, his treasury, his system of law and order, and his friends or allies. If these seven are properly maintained, the king is happy. Similarly, as explained in Bhagavad Gita, Dehinosmin yatha dehe, the living entity, the soul, is within the material covering of the Mahatattva, ego, and Pancha Tanmatra, the five objects of sense gratification. When these seven are in proper order, the living entity is in a mood of pleasure. So here Angira Muni is asking this king how you are. And it seems the king can be happy when all these seven things are in proper order. King, his spiritual master, ministers, kingdom, his treasury, law and order, his friends, his allies. And so also here, Angira Muni is telling him just as that the soul is inside the material world, inside this material energy. And the soul is in a mood to enjoy when all these seven are in proper. The soul is there inside this material world, the ego, and the five objects of sense gratification. So the five objects, sense objects, does anyone remember?
Smell, taste, form, touch, and sound.
Yeah, that's right.
देखना सुनना
Yeah, that's right. So when these seven are in proper order, the living entity is in a mood of pleasure. Generally, when the associates of the king are quiet and obedient, the king can be happy. Therefore, the great sage Angira Rishi inquired about the king's personal health and the good fortune of his seven associates. When we inquire from a friend whether everything is well, we are concerned not only with his personal self, but also with his family, his source of income, and his assistants or servants. All of them must be well, and then a person can be happy. Usually it's true, no? Because our happiness gets maybe disturbed if, our family, there's some sickness or well, here Prabhupada is saying, family, source of income, assistants or servants. If everything is well taken care of, everything is going smoothly, then we are like, okay, I'm comfortable now. So, Atmanam Prakritish Adha
आत्मानं प्रकृतिश
Prakritish
अतः
Nidhaya Shreya Apnuyat
निदाय श्रेय
Shreya
आप्नुयात्
Apnuyat
Ragya Tatha Prakrityo
Ragya Tatha
तथा
Prakritya
प्रकृत्यो
Naradeva Hitadhayaha.
नरदेवाहितादयः
Devahitandaya
O king, O lord of humanity, when a king directly depends upon his associates and follows their instructions, he is happy. Similarly, when his associates offer their gifts and activities to the king and follow his orders, they are also happy. The actual happiness of a king and his dependents is described in this verse. A king should not simply give orders to his dependents because he is supreme. Sometimes he must follow their instructions. Similarly, the dependents should depend on the king. This mutual dependence will make everyone happy. So, relationship, give and take. The king is also listening to his dependents is also listening to the king. We can see that in any relationship that we have. We listen, we follow, also we ask others to do certain things. Apidara Prajamatya
Apidara
Tara
Prajamatya
Britya Shrinyotha Mantrinaha
Bhritya Shriyotha Mantrinaha
Paura Jana Pada Bhupa
Paurajana Pada Bhupa
Atmaja Vashavartinaha.
Atmaja
Vashavartina.
Vashavartinaha.
O king, are your wives citizens, secretaries, and servants, and merchants who sell spices and oil under your control? Are you also in full control of ministers, the inhabitants of your palace, your provincial governors, your sons, and your other dependents? The master or king and his subordinates should be interdependent. Through cooperation, both of them can be happy. Yasyatmanu vashas chetsyat.
Yashyatmano
Vashatetya
vashatetsyat
Sarve tat vashaga ime.
sarve tad vashaka
Vashaka
ime
Loka sapala yachanti.
loka
Sapala
sapalaya
Yachanti
Sarve balim atandritaha.
sarve balim
Balam
atandrita.
Atandrita.
If the king's mind is fully controlled, all his family members and governmental officers are subordinate to him. His provincial governors present taxes on time, without resistance, and what to speak of lesser servants. Angira Rishi asked the king whether his mind was also under control. This is most essential for happiness because sometimes our mind may make us crazy. Everything else might be in order, but it may be our own mind that is creating a distress for us. Atmana priyate natma.
Atmana priyate natma
Paratasvata eva va.
Parata Swata Eva Va
Lakshaye labdha kamam tvam.
lakshaye labda
Kamam
kamam
Tvam
Chintaya shabalam mukham.
Chintaya
chintaya
Shabalam
shakalam
Mukham.
mukham.
O King Citraketu, I can observe that your mind is not pleased. You seem not to have achieved your desired goal. Is this because of you yourself? Or has it been caused by others? Your pale face reflects your deep anxiety. Evam vikalpito rajan.
Evam vikalpito rajan
Jan
Vidusha munina pisaha.
vidusha munina pisaha
Prashrayavannatopyaha.
prashrayavanato apya
Prajakamastato munim.
praja kamasto
Kamatato
muni.
Sukadev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, although the great sage Angira knew everything, he inquired from the king in this way. Thus King Chitraketu, desiring a son, bent low in great humility and spoke to the great sage as follows. Since the face is the index to the mind, a saintly person can study the condition of one's mind by seeing his face. When Angira Rishi remarked about the king's discolored face, King Chitraketu explained the cause of his anxiety as follows. So Angira Muni, great sage, he knew what was happening. So he's asking now Chitraketu, what happened? It's true, no? When we are disturbed, our face sometimes also shows it. Citraketu Ruvacha.
Citraketu
Citraketu
uvacha
Uvacha
Bhagavan Kimna Viditam.
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Kinkiritam
Kinkiritam
Tapo Jnana Samadhibihi
Tapo
Tapo
Jnana
Jnana
Samadhibi
Yoginam
Samadhibihi
Dvasta Papanam
Yoginam
Yoginam
Vasva
Dvasta
Papanam
Papanam
Bahir Anta Sharirishu.
Bahir
Bahir
Anta
Anta
Sharirishu.
Sharirishu.
King Chitraketu said, O great Lord Angira, because of austerity, knowledge, and transcendental samadhi, you are freed from all the reactions of sinful life. Therefore, as a perfect yogi, you can understand everything external and internal regarding embodied conditioned souls like us. So Chitraketu is praising Angira that, oh, you know everything. You're such a, you know, great personality. Tathapi prachato bruyam.
Tatapi
Tathapi
Prachato Bhuyam Bruyam
Brahman, Brahman Atmani Chintitam.
Brahman
Brahman
Atmani
Atmani
Chintitam
Chintitam
Bhavato vidushas chapi.
Bhavato
To
Vidushaschapi
Vidushaschapi
Choditas tvad anugyaya.
Choditasvad
Choditasvad
Anujnaya.
Anujgaya.
O great soul, you are aware of everything. Yet you are asking me why am I full of anxiety? Therefore, in response to your order, let me disclose the cause. Did y'all want to comment anything or till now?
So he was in anxiety because he was childless, right?
Yes,
That's
that's
without
right.
child.
Child.
And they say grasta, right? When you are in grasta
Yeah.
and you don't have a child, it's a
Yes.
doom, right? It's a doom. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's true. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. So
Hare
Angira
Krishna.
Muni so Angira Muni has come probably just on time when Lord wanted to, maybe, and I think probably
Yes.
maybe he knows, right, that
Yes.
he's sad because of no son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. And it's a similar situation like how Indra's was, right? He asked for protection, and here also maybe he's tested that if he's satisfied or he's going to ask for the son in spite, you know, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
true.
just in case if he wouldn't have any reaction, hopefully.
It's
Mm,
true because he can ask Angira Muni, give me pure devotional service, you know?
yeah, because I think we
Yeah.
read before about this, right? It
Yeah.
was very vaguely
Yeah.
written that it's only if you have the spiritual capabilities you may ask what you haven't got. But
Yeah.
if it's not on the spiritual platform, do not ask, because if it is material need, then it might give you reactions. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
mm, so he's waiting to hear now from the king. Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Lokapaler api prarthaya.
लोकपाले
Lokapale
अपि
api
प्रार्थयाः
prarthaya
Samrajeshwarya sampadaha.
साम्राज्येश्वर्यसम्पदः
Samrajeshwarya
Na nandayanti aprajamam.
न
Na nandayanti
नन्दयन्ति
aprajamam
अप्रजमा
Chutrit kamam evapare.
Shutrit
क्षुद्रकामम् इव
kamam
परे.
evapare.
As a person aggrieved by hunger and thirst is not pleased by the external gratification of flower garlands or sandalwood pulp, I am not pleased with my empire, opulence, or possessions, which are desirable even for great demigods because I have no son. So, what is the example here, Chitraketu? What is he saying?
That though he has everything, right? The empire, opulence,
Yeah.
And like that's what demigods, right, would desire to have everything all. But
Yeah.
he was not happy because he doesn't have a son. Right?
Yeah. So
Like
he's
an
giving this.
aggrieved hunger, like a
That's
thirsty
what, yeah,
person.
he's saying. Yeah, that's what he's saying. If you're hungry or thirsty, no matter how beautiful the decoration is, you're not going to appreciate it so much,
Yeah,
because you just want to eat something, you just need to drink something. So the outside decoration is not going to,
the outside. Yeah.
yeah, it's like kind of becomes useless. So that's what he's trying to say now. I have so much, but then I don't have what I really need. Tata pahi mahabhaga.
Tata pahi mahabhaga
Mahabhaga
Purve saha gatam tamaha.
purve
Purve
saha gatam
Sahagatam
tamaha
Tamaha
Yatha tarema dushparam.
yatha
Yatha
tarema
Tarema
dushparam
Dushparam
Prajaya tad videhinaha.
prajaya tat
Vijaya
videhena.
Tadvidena.
Therefore, great sage, please save me and my forefathers who are descending to the darkness of hell because I have no progeny. Kindly do something so that I may have a son to deliver us from hellish conditions. According to Vedic civilization, one gets married simply to have a son who is needed to offer oblations to his forefathers. King Citraketu responsibly desired to beget a child so that he and his forefathers might be delivered from the darkest regions. He was concerned how to get Pinda oblations in the next life, not only for himself, but also for his forefathers. Therefore, he requested Angira Rishi to favor him by doing something that could help him get a son. So, what's the reason he's saying here now?
for Shraddha and for the last
That's
rites.
right. Yeah.
Pin-
That who's going to give the Shraddha, so that me and my ancestors can all live happily. So, Sri Shuka Vacha
Shri Shuka
Shukra
Uvacha
Uvacha
Iti Arthita Sa Bhagavan
iti artita sa
Bhagavan
Kripalur Brahmana Sutta
kripalu brahmana
Brahmana
sutaha
Sutta
Shrapaitva Charum Tvashtram
Shapayitva charum twastram
Tvastram
Tvashtaram Ajayad Vibhuho.
twashtaram
Taram
ayat
Ayajad
ayajat
Vibhu.
vibhu.
In response to the request of Maharaj Chitraketu, Angira Rishi, who was born of Lord Brahma's mind, was very merciful toward him. Because the sage was a greatly powerful personality, he performed a sacrifice by offering oblations of sweet rice to Tvashta. I'm not sure if this is the same Tvashta that was earlier, but that earlier Tvashta was a Brahmana, right? I'm not sure.
Yes.
But anyway, so this is a demigod Tvashta. And Angira Muni is coming. How is he born?
Out of Lord
Mind
Brahma's
of
mind.
Brahma.
Yeah.
Yeah, mind. Jeshta Shrestha Chaya Ragyo
Jeshta Shrestha
Shrestha
Chayara
Jaya Rajnu
Mahishinam Cha Bharata
Mahishinam cha
Mahishinam cha
Bharata
Bharata
Namna Krita Dyotistasyai
Namna Krita
Krita
Dyutistasya
Dyutistasya
Yagyochishtam Adadvijaha.
Yajnojistam
Chistam
Adatvijaha.
Adadvajaha.
O Maharaj, O Parikshit Maharaj, best of the Bharatas, the remnants of the food offered in the yajna were given by the great sage Angira to the first and most perfect among Chitraketu's millions of queens, whose name was Krita Dyoti. So he's giving it to his first wife. Athaha Nripatim Rajan
Ataha nirpratim rajan
Bhavite Kastavatmajaha
bhavite kastavatmajaha
Tavatmajaha
Harsha Shoka Pradastubhyam
harsha shoka
Shoka
pradastubhyam
Pradastuvyam
Iti Brahma Suto Yayo.
iti brahma suto yayo.
Satonyayo.
Thereafter, the great sage told the king, O great king, now you will have a son who will be the cause of both jubilation and lamentation. The sage then left without waiting for Citraketu's response. The word harsha means jubilation and shoka means lamentation. The king was overwhelmed with joy when he understood that he would have a son. Because of his great jubilation, he could not actually understand the statement of the sage Angira. He accepted it to mean that there would certainly be jubilation because of the birth of his future son, but that he would be the king's only son, and being very proud of his great wealth and empire, would not be very obedient to his father. Thus the king was satisfied, thinking, let there be a son. It does not matter if he is not very obedient. So Angira Muni is saying he's going to be the cause of your jubilation and lamentation. Now Citraketu was so anxious to get a son that he thought, okay, well, happy, yeah, of course I'm going to be very happy when I get a son. And lament, I might lament because, the son may become spoiled. We are going to spoil him, only one son. And after after so many prayers, he's being born. So we may spoil him, and then he may, you know, not follow everything we are saying. And so that's why maybe we may become sad sometimes. He's thinking like that. In Bengal, there is a proverb that instead of having no maternal uncle, it is better to have a maternal uncle who is blind. So Prabhupada is saying that in Bengal, it seems better to have a maternal uncle, even if he's blind, rather than not having one. The king accepted this philosophy, thinking that a disobedient son would be better than no son at all. The great sage Chanakya Pandit says, Ko ritaha putrena jatena yona vidvana dharmikaha kanena chakshusha kinva chakshusha pideva kevalam. What is the use of a son who is neither a learned scholar nor a devotee? Such a son is like a blind, diseased eye, which always causes suffering. Nevertheless, the material world is so polluted that one wants to have a son, even though he is useless. This attitude was represented in the history of King Citraketu. Something to this effect, we heard that Vritrasur was also telling when the demons were running away, right? He was telling them, why you're not being like proper people? So, anyway. So Chanakya Pandit is saying the son should be either a learned scholar or a devotee. This is what Chanakya Pandit is saying. Did you all want to comment anything?
Yeah, I was actually wondering before he didn't advise and he was just giving him, um, a way to get a son. But then when he did give it out of the compassion, he did warn him also that it will be
Yeah.
cause of jubilation and lamentation. So they do it. They do that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay. So sapi tat prashanad eva
Happy.
Sapitat prashana
Prashanad eva
Citraketur adharayat
Citraketu adharayat
Adharayat
garbham krita dyotir devi
Garbham
Garbham
Krita
Krita Dutir
Devi
Devi
kriti kagner evatmajam
Kritikagniratmajam.
As Kritika Devi, after receiving the semen of Lord Shiva from Agni, conceived a child named Skanda, Kartikeya. Kritadyoti, having received the semen from Citraketu, became pregnant after eating remnants of food from the yajna performed by Angira. So Kritika Devi is referring to the mother Parvati, right? Lord Shiva,
Yeah.
Parvati Devi getting a son, Kartikeya. Okay. Going on. Tasya
It reminds
Anandina.
me, oh sorry, yeah, Hare Krishna. It reminds me of how Dhritarashtra and Pandu, Vidur, how they were born out of, I mean, actually Vyasadeva, right?
Yeah, they were
He,
born from Vyasdev.
uh,
Yeah.
and the father was, who was their actually father? Bharat, is it? Or,
Whose father?
I mean, Pandu and all, actually, the father, they couldn't
Vyasadev.
conceive.
Yeah,
Vyas,
so
Vyasadeva is
Vyasadev.
the father.
Yeah,
Okay.
but this is
Vyas,
different.
this is different, huh? From what?
This is
Like
different. Angira Muni just did the fire sacrifice.
fires. And then that's the same as Dasrath, right? How he
Dashrath.
got, I
That's
mean, how
right.
Dasrath, right?
Yes, that's right.
From the
That's right.
sacrifice, huh? That thing,
Yes, they had offered to Lord
otherwise,
Vishnu.
that's,
Lord
yeah.
Vishnu had come personally. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, Tasya Anudinam Garbha
Tasya anudinam garbha
Shukla Paksha Ivo Dupaha
shukla
Shukla
paksha
Paksha
iva
Ivo Dutaha
Vavride Vavride Shura Senesha
Vavradeshvara senisha
Tejasa Shanakir Nripa.
tejasa chanake
After receiving semen from Maharaj Citraketu, the king of Shurasen, Queen Kritadyoti gradually developed in her pregnancy. O King Parikshit, just as the moon develops during the bright fortnight. So just as, there's no moon, then gradually becomes bigger and bigger. So Kritadyuti's baby, her womb was going bigger and bigger. The child was growing bigger in her womb. So, yeah, almost time. So we'll
Nice,
stop here.
nice relation. The pregnancy like a moon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare